The party pulsed with noise, music thumping, voices overlapping, glasses clinking in constant rhythm. It was one of my co-workers' loft gatherings. I showed up with my girlfriend Lena, who'd convinced me we needed a night out to unwind. We'd been together 2 years. Like any couple, we had our good and bad stretches, but I believed we were steady. Lena thrived in rooms like this. Her sharp humor and radiant smile always pulled people toward her. I was the quieter one, satisfied to sip my beer and watch her glow. But that night, something felt wrong from the start. Her eyes lingered on me with impatience, and whenever I spoke, her laugh carried a sharper edge than usual. We mingled, or rather, Lena did. She drifted easily from group to group while I tagged along. She'd introduce me, her tone light but dismissive, as though I were a footnote. "This is Ben, my boyfriend," she'd say, then glide straight into a story that didn't involve me at all. I brushed it off at first, blaming the drinks, the crowd, the performance she always put on for strangers. But things shifted during a conversation about terrible first dates. Lena turned to me with a sly smile. "Oh, Ben's the king of awkward," she announced, her voice loud enough to carry. "Remember when you spilled wine all over my dress at that restaurant? Classic Ben." Laughter erupted around me. I forced a smile, heat rising to my face. It wasn't just the memory, it was the way she said it, like I existed purely for a cheap laugh. I tried to join in, but her words stung, cutting deeper than they seemed to anyone else. She didn't stop. Another story followed, this one about me tripping over a rug at her friend's place. The crowd loved it. Their laughter grew louder while I shrank a little more inside. I glanced at Lena, silently begging her to drop it, but her eyes shone, fueled by the attention. My beer bottle slick in my hand, I stood there feeling the room tighten around me. Lena had always been sharp, but this was different. This was cruel. The group moved on to other topics, but her mocking tone lingered, bitter and heavy. I tried speaking again, but every word felt clumsy, drowned by the echo of her laughter. When I looked away again, she was deep in conversation with a guy in a leather jacket, her hand resting casually on his arm. She didn't glance at me once. Something inside me shifted, not anger, but clarity. I set my drink on the table, my movements calm, deliberate. Nobody noticed as I slipped toward the door, the music and chatter covering my exit. I didn't say goodbye, didn't make a scene, just walked out. The cool night air struck my face as I stepped outside. Behind me, Lena's laughter cut off mid-sentence, abrupt, like a song suddenly stopped. I didn't turn around. I kept moving, the city lights scattered in the distance. The walk home stretched long and quiet, broken only by the occasional passing car. My phone buzzed in my pocket, Lena, no doubt, but I ignored it. Her face replayed in my mind, that mocking grin, the way she turned me into a punchline for strangers. This wasn't about a single fight. It was about respect, or the absence of it. And I'd let it slide too often. I wondered when it had begun. Had she always been this way and I refused to see it? Or had something shifted quietly over time? When I reached the apartment, I sat alone in the dark living room. Silence pressed down, heavy but strangely freeing. My phone buzzed again, then again. I left it on the coffee table. I wasn't ready to hear her excuses, or worse, to hear her dismiss it as just a joke. Memories of our 2 years together drifted in, the late-night conversations, the comfort of her curling against me on the couch. But none of it erased the image of her at that party. Laughter turned into a weapon, eyes gleaming with something that felt nothing like love. About an hour later, the front door opened. Lena stepped inside, pale and shaken, her usual confidence stripped away. "Ben, why did you leave?" she asked softly. I met her gaze from the couch. For the first time, I felt no urge to smooth things over. "You know why," I said, steady and calm. Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes dropped to the floor. The silence stretched. She was waiting for me to patch it up like I always had. But I didn't. She sat across from me, twisting her hands. I didn't mean it, she whispered. I raised a hand, stopping her. You did, I replied, certain. You meant every word. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I saw the Lena I'd once fallen for, unguarded, human. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I thought of all the times I'd laughed off her jabs, told myself her sharpness was harmless. Love wasn't supposed to make me smaller, just to make space for her shine. She apologized, tears brimming, but the words felt empty, meant more for her conscience than for me. I told her I needed space. She nodded and slipped quietly out of the room. Alone again, I realized the real shift had happened at the party. Her laughter had died not because I walked away, but because she'd seen the look on my face as I did. Something final. That night drew a line, and whatever came next, I knew one truth clearly. I could never go back to being the punchline or the man who stayed silent just to keep the peace.